Before the 2016 presidential election, Illinois farmer Brian Duncan was hopeful that the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP, trade agreement between the United States and many nations ringing the Pacific would boost demand for his crops and his hogs.
I mean, pork is very much in demand in the Asian countries, the Pacific Rim, and was really looking forward to what opportunities could come for pork sales to that part of the world.
But support for the TPP eroded in the United States amid claims by critics that it would disadvantage American manufacturing.
Thanks to our tariffs and tough trade policies.
When Republican Donald Trump, a fierce critic of the accord, became president in 2016, hopes of launching the TPP ended.
Part of TPP's role was to counter China's growing economic influence and position the United States to be a positive force in that region. Those countries have gone ahead without us.
When we pulled out of TPP, we really abdicated our leadership and it created a huge vacuum.
Former U.S. Senator from Montana Max Baucus, now a co-chairman of the Farmers for Free Trade Advocacy Group, spoke at a recent online meeting about the Biden administration's efforts to re-engage with Asian nations on trade.
It's also important to establish an economic counterweight to China. That's important. That was the whole point of TPP.
We have been strongly encouraging the Biden administration to do more in terms of building true market access.
The Illinois Farm Bureau's Mark Gebhardt says President Joe Biden's Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity, or IPEF, announced in May, is a step in the right direction. It would deepen economic ties between the United States and 12 Asian countries: Australia, Brunei, India, Indonesia, Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, New Zealand, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam.
The benefit for us is to increase the market access in extremely important countries which are very willing, very interested in our agricultural products. So for our farmers, for our members, there is a direct benefit here.
Gebhardt wants negotiations to yield results.
We want to encourage the Biden administration to actually get to that issue of market access. It's great to talk. Again, it's a first step, but we really feel that we need more actual trade agreements put in place, especially in light of the Ukrainian conflict and all the things that are happening in the world today.
Something's better than nothing. That's where I'm at with it.
The White House says the 12 nations in the framework account for about 40% of global GDP.
60% of the world's population is in those Indo-Pacific countries, and that's going to be a growing population.
For now, farmer Brian Duncan is hopeful that a successor to the failed Trans-Pacific Partnership will come about.
I think there's hope again and realization of the importance of international trade.